Hello again, it's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage and talking to the folks that make the race cars go around the racetrack. We are so glad that you have joined us. I'm Steve Post, pit road reporter for the Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief, Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm great. Oh. I got to sit at home and watch the All-Star race. What a grind it had to be for you guys with all the racing that was going on and broadcasting that, but what a spectacular event.
You know, the up and back is logistics with North Wilkesboro. It is best to stay at home. And I compounded. I live on the backside of Concord from North Wilkesboro. Yeah. I live on the front side of Rockingham. Yes. I live really good to Rockingham, not so much to North Wilkesboro. It is a grind. But what we had up there, it is well worth the grind. Racing was really good. Festive atmosphere, really, really good. Fans that went there, you guys brought your A game, man. I'll tell you what, you were ready to go racing, and I absolutely loved it. And what we saw on the racetrack, Todd, was spectacular. Just really good racing.
Best short track race we've seen in 3 years since this car
when you
came
think
out.
About that. Yeah.
And really, as a repave, I really questioned where it was going to be, but kudos to everybody. The aggregate changes that they did with the racetrack, the banking, the way that the progression of banking is there. The bump off turn 4, don't grind that away. That makes it challenging.
No.
I think the racetrack, I think the fact that you saw guys running from the bottom to the top. And Joey Logano, the king of blocking, I love him to death. So, but you can't block that many lanes.
Yeah. And which is great.
We saw comers and goers and most passes for the lead at an all-star race. Just what a spectacular event. And one that I think we should celebrate and not look to motivate farther.
Yeah, let's just roll up our sleeve and get into it. The topic this week is North Wilkesboro needs a point-spanning race.
No, it doesn't.
I'm with you on this, okay?
This made the All-Star race special.
Yeah.
We've got such a buzz about this All-Star race right now. It's made it special. And I really feel like even at Charlotte, the All-Star race kind of lost its luster. It became a week that we were just preparing for the next week. So now we're at a point, this is a special race. And we sold it out as an all-star race. What are we going to do if we make a points race out of it? We're not going to do anything different other than put another race in the Charlotte metropolitan area. The only way I could see this becoming a points race is if Charlotte wants to give up a date, if Bristol wants to give up a date, or Darlington wants to give up a date. I don't see any of those three happening. We can't put more races here and bring them back home. We need to be more nationwide. And that's part of what happened with the first thing. But what a great race they put on, and what a great pocket this is. It's a lower attendance environment.
Yeah.
It's perfect for an all-star race.
I go 2 points on this as far as points-paying race goes. The first point is I think as an all-star race, what I always enjoyed is you could come to Charlotte for 10 days. Mm-hmm. You can come to North Carolina for 10 days. It's not that far from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
The same hotel you get in Mooresville or Cornelius will drive you either way.
That's exactly right. So come here. Let's build up this week. Build up this week in Charlotte. We've got Hall of Fame activities. Shops getting back to busy on these weeks. Where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we need traffic cops out in front of the shops. We can build this with that North Wilkesboro All-Star Weekend and do that. My other point, and this is a big thing I am on life, it's not broke.
Let's not fix it.
It's not fix it. So, exactly. So, Christopher Bell now, he would prefer an all-star race and 2 points-paying races there after this weekend. What a tremendous performance by Christopher Bell.
And Adam Stevens.
No doubt.
Because he got put on 2 tires, a tire advantage, and took advantage of it.
Yes.
He doesn't win that race if everybody stays in the same tire situation. I don't think. But Christopher Bell did a phenomenal job getting through the first 3 cars.
Right.
He was third at 1 lap later.
I wanted to be he told us in Victory Lane, I wanted to be the first car on the tire advantage.
And he was. And then Ryan Blaney kind of, on the older tires, he backed up, got loose and backed up in a hurry. So that put Christopher Bell where all he had was Joey Logano in his sights. That worked out really well for him. But kudos to those guys. I listened to an interview with Paul Wolf. He says, all the data we had, if it takes him 2 or 3 laps to get to third and then another 2 or 3 to get by Blaney, we've got a chance to drive off and win, which is I've been the victim of pitting, and Paul stayed out and he won the race that I should have won.
Right. So yeah,
he's really good at that, but it's just, this is how racing works.
To me, I think I think it was fabulous. It was just a great time. And kudos to Adam Stevens, Christopher Bell for getting the win. Great stuff. Kudos also to John Leonard and Chandler Smith winning the Truck Series race. They passed a lot of trucks.
Yes,
they had a problem to put them into the back. They had some strategy to put them at the back. And I'm telling you, they passed a lot of trucks, and then all kinds of mixing and mashing at the end of this thing. So pretty cool truck race, that's for sure.
Yeah. What a way to build into to Memorial Day weekend. The classic, iconic weekend of racing.
This is going to be great.
Yeah, Monaco, Indy. We got Kyle Larson doing the double. We got William Byron racing from home.
Yes, indeed. William Byron, Charlotte native, racing from home. And we're going to talk William Byron because Rudy Fugle, his crew chief, he joins us next here on Crew Call.
The NASCAR channel is available now on Tubi. Tell them we got it. 24/7 news, documentaries, with access to the exclusive NASCAR Vault. The NASCAR channel, always on, always free, only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Let's go over to Hendrick Motorsports. Joining us, crew chief, two-time Daytona 500 winning crew chief for William Byron and that number 24 car. Rudy Fugle joins us. Hello, Rudy. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great. Hope you all are.
We are well also. Rudy, I want to really quick here get on to North Wilkesboro a little bit. What a wild event. What a wild time there. What was your take, and what also can you pull out of North Wilkesboro to use forward? What did you accomplish this weekend? I know you got a sixth-place finish, but what was your take on it all?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's just continues to be a great event. You know, fans are packing it out, and you know, the track looks great. We're making small improvements, seems like every time we go, and that part's been fun. And the track is, since it's been repaved, has been pretty awesome. You know, for a repave last year, and then how quickly it weathered. This year, it's got some character. You know, they left the bump, and then it's got some little patches here and there that are pretty cool. Last year, the bottom in 3 and 4 on the concrete was really hard to use, and this year it was a benefit to get the left sides down on that. So just some nuances with the track that are killer, that are you know, put on a great event, and so that part was fun to start with. Yeah, you know, a lot of different things to unpack. Every day was kind of different for us up there. So you know, the first day was focused on, you know, having an extra set of tires and 50 minutes of practice. So we were actually able to work through things more. You know, the first set of tires, we probably pitted more times than we needed to. Our car was pretty good, but we made 3 changes, I think, that we normally would have maybe made 1, just because you want the longer runs and you don't want to question your tire cycles. So we just did it just because we had the opportunity to make laps and learn. So that part was good. Got some notes and a kind of reminder of, hey, this change does this and this change does that, and you hope to use that at some, you know, short tracks going forward. And then the second set of tires, we treated it like the kind of normal 20-minute practice where we want to get a long run. How's our car balance? What's it migrate to? Okay, there's a caution. Okay, we're going to make a quick change. And let's make, what did that do? Okay, maybe we're not going to believe it, or we do believe it. But that second set of tires was more that 20-minute practice that we're doing every week. So that part on Friday. And then it quickly transitioned to, you know, about the pit crew and about really the engineers as well, because there is a lot of yellow line to yellow line driver pit road speed that the driver, the spotter, and the engineers have to do a really good job at. And you know, a lot of stress on, because that's a curved pit road, so it's kind of straight. There's a straight speed, a curved speed, a straight speed, a curved speed, and then another straight speed. So a lot of switches, you know, a lot of details that they all had to work on. So that was kind of Friday. You know, kudos to them. They did a good job. We were 5th. We could have been better in every part of it. The pit crew part, the yellow line to yellow line, we could have been a little better. And the on track, we weren't as quick as we wanted to be. But 5th overall was still okay. Then Saturday was the heat race, so that was kind of more laid back. You know, it was weird. It was like, you know, there was no national anthem. There's no driver introductions. You just hop in the car and go, sort of like a short track race. And so that part was weird, but the racing was quickly pretty intense. Our heat 1 was pretty fun to watch. So yeah, we learned a lot in that. Kind of learned that, you know, the bottom of the track was a little more serviceable. It was hard to make a pass, but you could tell that there was grip there. So that was a new change in the track too. Then Sunday, yeah, we we kind of got after it and went through some things. We took 2 tires early. And we took the lead. It was fun doing that, but it was more short-lived than I'd hoped. Thought we'd have a little bit more buffer with guys doing 2, put us back a little bit. And then we struggled at lap 100, pit stop, and then we got really good towards the end and started to come back to get to 6. So it was up and down day. But just solid, just we found a couple things, but not where we need to be with that 22 or the 20. There were the standouts.
So as we watch the race weekend, you talked a little bit about like the heat race. The bottom looked like it had some grip. This racetrack got racier and racier. Like to the very end of it, you could race all over the racetrack. Is that so? Is that it going into darkness and kind of cooling down, or was that rubber late on the racetrack? What do you think attributed to that, and what can we look forward to going forward?
Yeah, I think both of those things. So the nighttime I thought made the very bottom work better. The top, especially in 1 and 2, gets to where it's a long ways around. So you can make up. It's really easy to get side by side with somebody running the bottom in 1 and 2, like you see at some almost like Bristol. A couple of years ago when Bristol was bottom top before we've done all the things we've done to it, but Bristol bottom top where you get side by side, but it's really hard to finish the exit off the corner. But the nighttime kind of gave the exit grip, where you could put the throttle down a little bit better. It made everybody better and size up. And sometimes the guy on the top would slip and miss the middle, kind of jump the cushion, sort of say. And then the bottom was able to get cleared. And the second part of that, the rubber, this tire, we were all expecting it to be a miserable. We brought extra SD20, which is our car cleaner, in rags because of the way Martinsville was. We expected to have to clean this car extremely well because the oil that's been in this left side tire at Martinsville has made the cars really, really dirty. And it seemed like all that oil went in the track, and you saw it pick up heavily in those sealer seams. And that was Harvick talked about that a lot on TV. But there were some other clumpy areas as well where that that oily. I don't know, that's probably not the proper term, but the oil in the tire really kind of clumped up the rubber. And that's what I think about. If you did ever get a points race there and you had 40 cars and 40 laps, I think there could be a lot of that rubber clumping that would create some interesting lines. I don't know if it'd make the racing better or worse, but there would definitely be a lot of wild lines.
Wild stuff, that's for sure. So you talked about Saturday being weird. We're home. We all stay home for North Wilkesboro, and now we're home all week, and we're home for Charlotte. Rudy, the pros and cons. We all like to be home. We all like waking up in our own bed. But what are the challenges also of racing from home and just it's not the routine that we do 30 sometimes a year?
Yeah, it's a hard balance. I think with a lot of athletes, you think about this and you hear about different things, but in our sport, especially the way it is now, a lot of our change work, setup work between before the next race or after practice is done at the house. It's done at the hotel. It's done at home. So when we leave, we used to be when we would be at the track forever. The mechanics would be working on the cars, right? And we would be engineers, crew chiefs working on the setup, and then the change sheet. Here's a piece of paper with everything we want to change. All that was kind of done, and then they kicked you out late at night. The only thing you had time to do was grab something quick to eat and go to sleep. And then the next morning you were back up there at 7 a.m. And now we're not at the track as much, which means that work has to be done at the hotel. And when you're home and you have a family, they're kind of expecting you to, and you want to be part of the family,
dad, right?
So, yeah. So that makes it hard. That's the definite, every one of us are dealing with that balance, right? Of, hey, dad's home or, husband's home, and we're going to go do this or we're going to do that. And it's like, well, we still have to do our job too. So it's a tough balance.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of tough balances, we got the longest race of the year coming up, the Coke 600. With it being 600 miles, is it harder or easier? Because all the stage lengths are equal. It's like broken into 4 segments here.
Yeah, I love that part. It's pretty straightforward. Definitely by the time you get to stage 3, like, is this thing over yet or not? But it's definitely, you can kind of plan your race, right? You have an idea of how many sets of tires you should run or can run in a segment. Where you want to pit, how much fuel you're going to take. It's kind of it's the same, and that's kind of that traditional part of it, that monotony is kind of what we like to have as crew chiefs most of the time. If you're running good and you have a fast car, we want the same thing to happen every single time. We don't like that weird caution that makes us have to make a tough decision and make us like balance, like, okay, how much fuel and how much tires do I need to, all those things. The way it's broke up, it's pretty straightforward most of the time. So that part's nice. The transition through the temperature will change for sure. The little bit of daylight to start the race, and then the full darkness at the end will change the car some. But I think we all have a pretty good handle on what we want to do there, and the limited things we can do in this car. We know what we want to chase, and the car balance and whatnot for that.
So that big swing everybody talks about at Charlotte, is that all just racetrack temperature? Is it not rubber? I mean, we talked a little bit about the rubber doing it at Martinsville or at North Wilkesboro, but is it just temperature? Is it asphalt temperature? Like if it's cloudy coming tonight, is it easier on you or versus sunny?
Yeah, it's two things. So a lot of it is, so Saturday we'll practice, I think at 1:30 and then qualify about 2:30. The sun's out for that. That's really difficult. Like the cars never drive good at all. They're really tight. They're really snappy. The exit of 4 at Charlotte is notorious for being really tough and easy to lose a car off in qualifying or in practice. So that's kind of a thing. You're trying to like, okay, how do I get a little bit out of the car and learn a little bit, but not read much into it. Then to your point for Sunday, some cloud cover to start the race will make it pretty consistent. You'll be a little bit looser on the extremities, meaning in and off the corner, a little bit tighter in the center of the corner to start the race, and then you'll deal with some different things throughout the race. But the rubber part of it for Sunday, especially since we've gone to a different rubber compound than the Xfinity cars almost every week, we seem to fight that first 50 laps. First 50 laps, the balance is quite a bit different until you get that first set of tires off and get going and then lay next gen rubber down, our rubber, then the car becomes consistent. It feels like Saturday again in some ways. But the first run of every race, whether it's Xfinity or truck rubber, it used to be that a lot of times we were on the same compound, right? Yes. And so it was very, you were only worried about ARCA rubber or a Hoosier or something different. Mm-hmm. And now we are on a different compound all the time. So we fight that a lot. And most of the time we get a consistent feel, but it's not always the same.
That's fascinating. I never thought about that. We always think about it with ARCA or something like that. But
I do. Like the modifieds this weekend, I figured that was a big deal because they're typically on a different.
The Hoosier tires, yeah.
But I hadn't thought about the fact. That's a great point, Rudy. Nobody's brought that up that I'm aware of. So
that is fascinating. Really, truly is. Rudy, final question for you here from my side of this thing. Big picture, Hendrick speed, all cars in the top 8 in points. You just assess how things are going for Hendrick Motorsports and where you're at this end of May portion of the season.
Yeah, what I think our strength is that we all work really well together. We all have really, really well prepared cars. The details are worked out, and it's making us all really not have a lot of mistakes. All have cars that are plenty of speed to run in the top 5, top 8 every single week, and that's good. The teams are executing really, really well. Our pickeries are solid, so that's keeping us all good. But there's always a strive to get a little bit more speed, a little bit more top end speed. And it seems like even a lot of races that we've won as a company, there's somebody out there that's maybe got a little top end speed here or there. So we're always going to keep chasing that downforce and tire settings and keep learning on the setups and try to get better so that we have more steps to go, especially by the playoffs. So that's the summer is tough to do that because you don't get a lot of consistent tracks. But we're working, and everybody in the shop and everybody at GM working super hard. We're not thinking we've got it figured out. We're definitely thinking that we've got a long way to go. So happy. It's great to be up there in points. That solid base is where we need to be, but definitely striving to get a little bit more winning, dominating speed consistently throughout the 4 cars. So we'll keep trying to do that starting this weekend.
Yeah, starts this weekend at Charlotte, then on to Nashville, Michigan, Mexico City, when we get into the road course portion of the season as well. So lots of challenges out there, but Rudy, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you well this weekend and on throughout.
Thanks for having me on, guys. See you.
There we go. Rudy Fugle joining us from over at Hendrick Motorsports. Stay with us. More Crew Call in just a moment.
Start your engine.
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi.
Tell them we got it.
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby.
The NASCAR channel, always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. If you like what you heard from Rudy Fugle, we certainly did. Do us a favor and share that, subscribe, like. We really appreciate spreading the Crew Call gospel, as you can do on your social media platforms, and help us get the word out and share what Rudy had to share. Todd, I want to double back to something Rudy talked about, and we all love being home. We all love being with our families. We all love it. But boy, strictly from a competitive standpoint, it is challenging for teams, crew chiefs, leaders of these teams to balance that.
My least favorite racetrack to race at. Charlotte.
Really?
By far. As a crew chief, by far. I hated every part of it. I really don't think, college football teams, when they have home games, they take the whole team, they go to a hotel anyway.
Yeah.
And then they bus in. They go through their normal routine. I really feel like, in retrospect, we should have gotten hotels for our race teams and put them in a situation where that, as Rudy talked about, and it's just your husband, you're a dad, you've got when you're present, they expect you to be mentally present. And what we do on a race weekend, we are mentally focused on racing. So this became a tough weekend from many places. It was, for me, to not have that time, like you talked about. I'd go back to the motorhome. I'd rewatch practices. I would go through simulation. I'd be there by myself doing my things.
Right.
And my race engineers at the hotel would do the same things. This was a break from that, because you're coming home and all of a sudden you got kids running up like they see you home, and it's
normal.
It's normal.
It's expected.
That's part of being. But we could racing separate, and then come race time. I mean, I'm going to be hard here.
Oh boy.
I really think as a team you shouldn't give pit passes to anybody family related to the organization.
No, you're cold-hearted here.
It's the biggest place for mental distractions that we ever go to.
I see that. Yeah.
And that was part of my pre-race speech, was to everybody, race crew guys and pit crew guys. When we had the trailer piece, it was like, guys, I understand. This is home. We've got family here. If they can't take care of themselves, send them home now. Mm-hmm. Because from green flag to checkered flag, you need not to look at them. That's not. Yeah. You need to be emotionally present in the race for the whole time. It's just, I'm sorry, but we're at work.
Oh. Yeah, no, I agree.
We are at work in the longest race of the season.
A crown jewel race. It's
such a challenge to be here because there's so many shop guys that want to be involved. I understand it, but it's almost like, if you had you'd want to do what Hendrick did at Martinsville for their 40th, where they bought a tent outside and put everybody out there.
So you're not in the middle of it. You're not. Yeah.
Perfect. They can be at the racetrack, but they're not in the middle and distracting the kind of, because this is a ballet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The whole race orchestration is.
It's a lot of times, and it's the little things. I think about this. My routine for years was take my credential off, put it on the bedside table in the hotel room. Okay? I take it off when I'm at home. I've got 2 little daughters. Oh, here's a picture of Daddy. Yeah. And the next thing you know, I'm the Sunday race morning. I'm like, where is the credential? That's a small little thing, but you compound and compound and compound, and it's like, man, I'm off my game.
You are, and focusing on your game and getting it. I've never won a Coke 600. I did win a Charlotte, the Bank of America 500 in the playoffs, but it's so hard to keep focused here. And it's great to be home because you're not traveling.
Yes, there's so much good about it, but there's challenges from a competitive standpoint. There's a big challenge.
And on top of that, it's day to night. It's 600 laps. It's 71 points we're chasing.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that, because this race has the most points available, and again, 600 miles. This whole thing, there's a lot of opportunity here, but a lot of challenges with Charlotte Motor Speedway and the 600.
Yes, yeah, as Rudy talked about, the transition. I dreaded practice at 3:00 in the afternoon because you'd never turn in the middle of 3 and 4. Like, it didn't matter what you did, it'd never turn in the middle of 3 and 4, and then you'd be loose off of 4. So, a challenge. I think I love Charlotte. I love the racetrack. For the racing it puts on, it's phenomenal. But the logistics of racing at home are a challenge. But it's going to be what a spectacular ending to an iconic racing day. and Memorial, of Sunday, with Monaco to start with, the Indy 500, and then the Coca-Cola 600. And by the way, we haven't even talked about it, but Kyle Larson trying to do the double again. Going to be spectacular to watch.
It is going to be spectacular. This is the last year of the triple because I believe Monaco is moving into June going forward. So we'll just have the double. We'll just be like Kyle Larson and just do the double is what we'll do. Kyle, there's so many storylines going into this. I also want to mention this before we get out of here. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the pre-race ceremony, we need to remember this is Memorial Day weekend. And this is a weekend set aside to honor those who gave all for our country. Charlotte Motor Speedway, they really do some moments. You have some moments where you're screaming and hollering, and you have your moments where you're standing there with tears rolling down your face when the moment of silence, the playing of taps and everything. It is a great traditional way to honor those who gave all, who sacrificed on this Memorial Day weekend, and Charlotte does a nice job. If you're coming to the track and it's sold out, I believe it is, just make sure you're in there to soak it all in. There's a lot that goes on. There really is.
Yeah, I love where our sports at, but especially this event, and celebrating Memorial Day and all of those that have served in any way, shape, or form, whether it's been the ultimate sacrifice or just the time that they've put together. We thank them for that. Absolutely. So Motor Racing Network is off this weekend. The NASCAR Racing Network has the Truck Series coming up on Friday night. Yeah, they all run together. And then Performance Racing Network has the Call of the Xfinity Series on Saturday and the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday night. One of the great runs, that's for sure. So you can catch it on the friends over at PRN. We have all of our weekly shows here. NASCAR Live, our Tuesday night tradition. NASCAR Live Wide Open is our podcast where all of the stuff that doesn't make it into NASCAR Live gets spread out on NASCAR Live Wide Open, NASCAR Coast to Coast. Chris Wilner talks to all the Roots racers. Wing Nation, we talk sprint car racing, and of course, NASCAR Crew Call here. So great stuff along the way here on the Motor Racing Network. We are grateful that you have joined us. We appreciate Rudy Fugle joining us here this time on Crew Call on the Motor Racing Network.